We have now learned how to compute all the derivatives that we will look at in this class. Let's take a moment to recap what we found. Everything we've computed in Chapter 3 can be broken into two categories: the derivatives of functions and rules of derivatives. Let's list in a table the functions and their corresponding derivatives that we've looked at in this chapter. First, we found the derivative of x to the n, which was n times x to the n minus 1. Then, we found that the derivative of a to the x was the natural log of a times a to the x. It's worth looking at the special example of e to the x, whose derivative is e to the x. And also e to the kx, whose derivative we can compute using the composition of functions, is k times e to the kx. Finally, we found that the derivative of the natural log of x is 1 over x. These are all the functions that we looked at. With our rules of derivatives, we looked at ways we could combine these functions. In all of the following rules, we will use c as a constant and f and g as functions. We found that if we multiply a function f by a constant and then take its derivative, we get that constant c times the derivative of f. If we take the derivative of the sum of two functions, f plus g, we can find this as the derivative of f plus the derivative of g. Things started getting more complicated as we took the derivative of f times g. Here we found that f times g prime is f prime times g plus f times g prime. And the derivative of the quotient f divided by g is f prime times g minus f times g prime all over g squared. The last rule we need to remember is the chain rule, which says that if we have a composition of functions f of g and we take its derivative, we get that f of g prime is f prime of g times g prime. Using these derivatives and the rules that we found, we can compute many derivatives much faster than we could using our definition of derivative as we did in Chapter 2. These will prove to be very useful as we start applying the derivative to our applications of economics and populations and so on.